now that Indiana game is over, there's been the chatter about Dusty May in Indiana and all the all the reported links. We know what they are at this point. Some positive buzz that Michigan is going to pull out all the stops to make sure that gets snuffed out pretty quickly and keep that guy happy around here for a long time.
Yeah, the gift that keeps on giving, guys, the boosters stepping up, and in this case, some of the same ones. I don't want to go into too much detail here, but the gift from the athletics gods, right? In terms of what they are offering to Michigan athletics in terms of money. So, but they want to make it sure that Dusty May understands that he's appreciated, and we've seen Juwan, Ward Manuel, Michigan's athletic director, do this with Juwan Howard. Dusty May is going to be in demand, and it is one of those things where he just happens to be, according to Indiana fans, the perfect fit, right? So I don't think he sees it that way. At the same time, everything that he said in the post-game press conference, he said it's crazy. I love it at Michigan. He would have been a fool to say I'm never leaving Michigan and losing his bargaining chip, right? Because he should be making more money. And granted, I don't care how they finish the season. It's very clear to me that Dusty May is going to be successful at Michigan. Yeah, you'd love to see them win the Big Ten and or stay into the race at least until late in the year and make a nice run in the tournament. But what he has accomplished in 1 year in turning this program around, and he was talking about those wins at UCLA, at USC, at Wisconsin that we were just talking about. That's remarkable, fellas. So do whatever you can to lock him up. Michigan is taking steps to do that. I've confirmed with several people now, and it's going to be one of those things where I think it'd be really, really tough for him to leave for Indiana, if you get my drift, when it comes to buyouts and things like that. And, if someday if he wants to go and coach in the NBA, then he's going to do that, right? And if somebody really wants him badly enough and is willing to pay a ton of money and he wants to entertain that, it's going to happen. But for now, he's happy here. Michigan wants to make sure he's very happy here.
Yeah, and I mean, it only makes sense. And what he's done so far in less than a year on the job. I mean, he was hired in kind of mid-March of last year, has been remarkable, not just in the roster that he built for 1 year, but you have guys, transfers that have multiple years of eligibility left that have produced already. We'll see if some of them stick around. And then, you have a McDonald's All-American coming into the next class and some other good prospects. So he's quickly built not only, a quick fix, but also a nice foundation for the future. And yeah, I mean, look, his answer, he could have said that, I'm never leaving, I'm not going, and all that. But I think that's one of those things that is calculated, and you probably speak to your agent about before you take the podium, knowing that you're going to get those questions. I mean, as much as it was a little ridiculous that, there were a lot of Indiana questions during that press conference, I think everyone knew that, some of those were coming. So he opens the door for, some leverage here for himself, which he absolutely should do. And, the winning has only helped that as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's a pretty smart, data-driven guy. And, there's no better amount of data out there than, what you could stand to make, what your market value might be, what, some of the things that you want from an infrastructure standpoint that are going to keep you happy. So good to see. If you want more on that report, it is over at thewolverine.com right now. Again, good scoop by Ballas there. And I'll just say this on it. I don't know if there's a whole lot to add other than, you could play devil's advocate and say, oh, well, is it a risk to extend a guy before his, or not even extend a guy, just maybe put a little more money in his pocket and kind of make a stiffer long-term commitment when his first season isn't over yet. There's risk involved in everything you do, but I think it's been pretty apparent from the jump operationally with Dusty May when it comes to, how he sets up his staff around him, how he brings in players, how they evaluate talent, how they, use data and analytics and all those types of things in building game plans. It's been pretty apparent from the start that this guy gets it. And, a year or so from now, or maybe not even a year or so from now, the market value on what I think he brings to the table is going to be much higher than it is now, and maybe much higher than what it'll take to keep him happy, at least for the next few years here. So it's a smart investment. Michigan's I get when it comes to the John Beelines of the worlds, the Jim Harbaughs of the worlds. Yeah, there was maybe some sort of itch to go back to the pros or try things out in the pros. With Dusty May, you have a guy who's game for the job as constructed with NIL, with all of the things that you have to do to stay at the top of this sport now. So you better pay him accordingly. And it seems like Michigan's going to do that.
Yeah, he's a great basketball coach, and you can sense it. You can see it. There's a list of guys that at mid-major schools have gone to the Final Four and what they've done after that. Not just a flash in the pan. Maybe go into the Sweet 16 with a couple of upsets, but guys who make the Final Four. That entire list is a who's of college basketball coaches, right? A who's who. So, and he's among them. You can see it, right? This is a flawed basketball team. And for all that we bitch and everybody bitches about the giving up big leads, well, they got to big leads with guys that are transfers from an 8-24 team to where they are now is ridiculous. So I think he's a great fit here. I think he knows he's a great fit here. You hope he's a lifer. Wouldn't it be amazing, guys, if you got to, finish a good portion of your career with Dusty May, kind of like Tom Izzo did at Michigan State? That's all a lot of these reporters have ever known. And it's fantastic for them. Would love to see it with Dusty May, and he's young enough where, hey, you know what? Say 22 years if he wants to keep coaching like Tom Izzo did, then fantastic. I'd take him. I think he's going to have great success here. Wouldn't stun me at all if he won multiple Big Ten titles here.
Just give him the lifetime contract. Honestly.
Why not? Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, obviously that's a stretch, but no, I mean, you're totally right. Like, there's just you just know it when you see it when it comes to that, and it's one of those things where I remember saying this before the season that he doesn't have everything figured out, and he'd be the first one to admit that. But he's one of those guys that knows how to figure out the answers that he doesn't know, and then kind of build from there. I mean, he's done it. He's won different ways. They're trying to figure out on the fly the best way to win this year with his team. So it's been impressive early on. And like, if Michigan can step up with all those resources, not only in the form of compensation for him, but making sure that they can continue to have a bunch of ammo here to build their roster the way they want to going forward, then I think there's no reason why he would entertain anything. And the other thing is too everybody's flawed in college basketball, especially now with, you're kind of working with a salary cap. It's almost like pro sports to a certain extent. Obviously, some people have bigger budgets than others. It's about figuring out how to win, and so far so good for Michigan.